All right, Coach Liam's here with me today. We're going to be talking about his athletic career and his coaching career as well. So, welcome. Let's start it off with soccer.
How's it going? Yeah, so I went to Hopkinton, graduated in 2014, so it's been a while. But in the fall, I played soccer. That was my third sport, I would say, behind basketball and baseball. Soccer was the one I cared the least about, but loved Coach Zipke, so I stuck with it. Just basically did it for to stay in shape for basketball. But I was 4-year varsity, played defense, just was kind of tall and athletic, no real skills at all. But my little brother played with me, so that was the best part of it. And then he played in college at Johnson and Wales. He was like all conference. He's an awesome soccer player, so I just kind of tagged along. But we won my senior year. We were pretty good. We beat Bo in the championship. They were like our rival forever. So that was fun. But mostly I was just on that team for like levity and comedy and making sure people didn't screw around too much.
Yeah. So what were your favorite soccer memories?
So my favorite would be winning and then just like getting to play with my brother and best friends. But the one that like stays with me the most is my junior year. We were, the one seed, the favorite, and we lost in the semifinals on a penalty kick in overtime. They called like a handball, and it was a disaster and it was just brutal. Like watching the kids, like especially the seniors, like they were just devastated. So that kind of like pushed us the next year to just go out and kind of like beat the crap out of everybody and like get revenge.
Yeah.
Um, in my freshman year, actually, we were in the quarterfinals and it got like rainy after halftime and we couldn't play. And they like called the game. They're like, "Oh, we'll finish it tomorrow." And then the next day, Zipke had to like call us all into the locker room and be like, "Yeah, so we lost. The game's been decided." And then like the seniors on that team were devastated. And that was like my
Whoa.
first high school sports playoff experience. So I was like, "Oh, this is not great." But got it all back senior year, so it was all right.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a crappy way to end a
Yeah,
game.
it was brutal.
I can't believe that actually happened.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the rule anymore. Hopefully it isn't.
Yeah.
But
All right. Basketball.
yeah, so that was always basketball's always been my favorite sport. I've been playing, since I can remember, like since I can walk. It's just always been there for me. Like that's how I've always kind of de-stressed and relaxed. I played AAU, played in the summer, played in the spring, played in the fall, and then the winter. Obviously, it was just like I was so dedicated to it. I was 4-year varsity for that. Started a few games as a freshman. That was the worst team I was on of the like 3 sports in 4 years. The freshman basketball team, we weren't very good. We got blown out in the playoffs by Conan, of course. But high school basketball was rough for me. I didn't get along very well with the coach. I had a bad attitude. I thought I was smarter than I was. And as a 16-year-old, you don't want to hear any of that stuff about how you don't know anything. So I didn't take that very well, but it was a great experience. And I think it's probably the reason why I wanted to get into coaching and why I think I'm not, bad at it is because like I witnessed firsthand like how some kids react to some kinds of styles of coaching
Yeah.
and how I, didn't really mesh well with my coach and how it was just a detriment to the team because I played so much. I was one of the better players, so it really just like brought the whole thing down. And I played sophomore and junior year. My sophomore year had a pretty rough incident where I didn't know if I was even going to keep playing. I thought maybe I was going to quit. My parents wanted me to quit, and I didn't. I was just like, I'm not going to give up on this, even if it's not going how I wanted. And then the playoffs that year, the team that the incident was against was Somersworth, and then we played Somersworth in the quarterfinals and actually hit a three with like 10 seconds left to win the game. We went to semifinals, so it was like poetic justice or whatever. It was weird. But that was the first 2 years. They were rough. Junior year, it was all right. I was, I think, 1 vote away from making All State, so that was
Oh,
pretty brutal. And then senior year, it's especially I don't know if this guy's here because I don't know if they were like huge basketball players, but like senior year, like this was all I was thinking about was like basketball. Like, oh, I want to win. Hopkinton's obviously never won or hasn't won in 150
60s.
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were all excited. There was 7 or 8 seniors. We've been playing together forever. So we were pretty jacked up about it. We were really, really good. We lost 1 game all year. We were the 1 seed, made it to the semifinals and we lost, and it's just like devastating.
Yeah.
But my senior year, I still had an attitude, still had issues. I got suspended for 5 days for mouthing off at the coach. Had the dreaded meeting in Meserve's office, and he had to call my parents, and I had to. He usually, I just think with most kids, he has to warn the kids, like, I'm sorry, I have to call your parents. Like, I have to tell them. And I was like, I don't think you want to do that. My parents are not going to be happy about this. But it was obviously a horrible experience at the time. But like I said, it's a huge reason why I've grown as a basketball player, coach, and just as like a person. It helped me mature a lot. So basketball was pretty impactful. And even though it was, it's just high school basketball in New Hampshire, it's not the craziest thing, but it went a long way for me. Like I wrote my college essay about basketball. Like it's really shaped my whole life. It's just as a sport. But after basketball, I played baseball in the spring. Baseball was like my second favorite sport. I was never like super into it, but it was the one that I was probably the most like naturally talented at, I guess. And my dad was a big baseball player, so I loved pitching. And I wasn't a very good hitter, but whatever. That's not fun. But my freshman year, played a little bit, not a ton. And then my sophomore year, I was the starting outfielder, center or left, I don't remember. But I don't know if they still do it, but the German class goes on a trip to Germany.
Okay.
And I was like gonna go. It was like me and a bunch of juniors. And I had to tell Chase about it, obviously. And he's like, okay, well, like we need to get somebody else out in the outfield that like knows how to play. So when you're gone, we have like a replacement for that. So I kind of stopped playing early. I wasn't playing that much, but I was still going to practice and stuff, obviously. And then we were the 1 seed, we were undefeated. The seniors that year were awesome. So in the playoffs, we were playing, I think Franklin. They were in Division 3 then. They had the best pitcher in the division, and he was pitching, and we were down. And I went in the top of the 7th as like a defensive replacement just to play left field. And we're down 3. We get the outs. We go in, and we were down 2. We're down 2, and I was, I don't know, like 6th up in the lineup. And we get 3 guys on, 2 outs. I go up to hit as a sophomore defensive replacement, and Chase, calls me over, and he's like, can you do this, or do I need to bring somebody in to sub for you? And I was like, I got it. Like, I don't care. Yeah. Like baseball wasn't my sport. I was like, whatever, this doesn't affect me. And I honestly just got lucky and hit like a double, and we won. And it was crazy. Definitely like the highlight of my baseball career. And then the next day I went to Germany. So I didn't get to like experience winning the championship with everybody, but it was worth it. It was fun. So that was my fun baseball memory. And then it just kept pitching, was all state a couple times, but didn't really pursue it after that or anything, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Looking back, do you regret going to Germany and not staying for the state championship?
Not really. I love Germany. It was awesome. Herr Olsen was here. He was my favorite teacher when I was here. So I just had a blast. Obviously I wish I could have done both. But, hindsight's 2020. So,
all right. What'd you decide to do after high school?
Yeah, so I always thought I was going to play basketball in college, and of the 3 sports I played, it was the one that I got the least interest in from schools, probably because of my attitude. So that was kind of brutal. So I was like, I don't want to play one of these other sports at a small school. So I just ended up going to UNH. I wanted to stay close by to my family. My brother was a senior in high school that year, so I wanted to watch him play sports. So I went to UNH, I studied English. I played basketball every single day when I was there. Played pickup 7 days a week. I was a practice player for the girls team there. Their Division 1 program, so it was pretty good competition. And then I had a couple minors, but really just mostly just studying, hang out with friends, and then just played basketball casually. But that's like where I got like good at basketball was college. Like
Yeah.
I thought I was good in high school, but then when I kept playing and I saw like, oh, there's kids here from Massachusetts and New York and everywhere and like I could hang with them, like to realize that like, oh, I'm not, I am pretty good. Like I can hold my own against like bigger guys and stuff like that. So I would play a little bit against the men's team at some of their like open runs. One year, Duncan Robinson was there. He played New Hampshire before going to Michigan. Now he's obviously an NBA. So I got to play against him. He is pretty good.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
You could say that.
Yeah, it was cool to see like an NBA level player, and like I don't even know if he plays that much on the Heat anymore, but like he's unbelievable. So even though it was just UNH, I still got to see like what big time basketball is like. But played, every day. And then my junior year, a few of the kids came up with the idea of like maybe getting a club team going.
Right.
And like the pickup scene there was like pretty big. So we could probably get a pretty good team. We didn't have a coach or anything. We got together, we got uniforms and stuff. We went to like a couple tournaments and we did like really well. Like we would play like UMass, Harvard, the Ivy League schools, stuff like that, in like regional tournaments at like BU or UMass
Wow.
Lowell. Yeah, so it was pretty fun. We actually finished second in both of the tournaments my junior year.
How many teams were there?
Probably like 8 to 12, I guess. Like
Okay.
yeah, and like so some of the teams were like the Ivy League schools surprisingly are pretty good because it's guys that obviously are focusing on their education, but like they could really play. So that was fun. And we ended up going to the national tournament at Ohio State.
Wow.
So we went there. I think we won maybe one game. Like we didn't do very well,
Mhm.
but it was just a great experience. And then my senior year, we had it up and going again, and it was kind of like the same thing in high school where I was like, as a senior, like, okay, I'm gonna really take advantage of this, and we did really well. We won 2 tournaments. We like qualified for the national tournament that time at Ohio State, so we ended up going. We won like 2 games, then we lost, and we're out having fun on like Friday night, and we get like a call from like the organization. They're like, the team that beat you. It turns out some of the kids on our team didn't go to college at their college. So it was like real sketchy. And they're
Yeah.
like, so you guys advanced, and we were like, okay. So we made the playoffs, and we ended up making it to the Final Four of like the entire country.
Wow.
Yeah. We got smoked by like Wisconsin or something. I don't even remember,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of fun. We played like Miami and Gonzaga, like big time colleges, obviously club teams. Like
Yeah.
it's not real basketball, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that was like the highlight of my college sports playing.
All right. What happened after college? What were you trying to do then?
Yeah, so I think the first year after college is probably the hardest for everybody. You have to figure out like what you're gonna do with your life, and I had no idea what I
Yeah.
wanted to do. I moved back home to Hopkinton with my parents, and I was just kind of directionless, rudderless, like just didn't know what I wanted to do. Everybody jokes like when you're going to school, like, oh, you're studying English, like what are you gonna do with that? And it turns out it's pretty hard to find work with an English degree. But Dan reached out to me and about maybe coaching the JV basketball team. And at first I was like, absolutely not. Like I don't like I had such a
Yeah.
rough career here. Like I didn't want to think about doing that at all. And my parents were kind of like, well, think about how hard it was for you. Maybe you could be like a positive impact for someone. And I was like, that's yeah, whatever. So I ended up giving it a shot. And I loved it. It was awesome. The kids were amazing. It was Brendan's freshman year, so I didn't really coach him. He was on
Yeah.
varsity, but that group. And we went 12-6, so pretty successful. My first game was at Raymond, and they pressed us, and I immediately realized I didn't go over a press breaker with anybody, so we lost by like 20. So that was a nice wake-up call, but it was a pretty good team. And I had a ton of fun with it and was pretty successful. So that season ended, and Dan asked me if I wanted to do baseball, JV baseball, and I was like, I don't think so. I don't have like the passion for baseball, and I don't. I like there's got to be a better candidate than me. So they hired somebody, And
Oops. Wait, hold up one sec.
yeah, no worries.
High motion sensor. We got it.
So they hired somebody and he got a job with like the Mets or something.
Oh, wow.
So there was like 5 games left and they didn't have a coach. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, sure.
Yeah.
And we did not do well. I was in over my head, but it was some of the same guys that were on the basketball team. So
Yeah.
we had fun, but I think I won.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe baseball's not for me, coaching. But,
Yeah. Gotcha.
But basketball went really well.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, anything you want to add on to that before returning to Hopkinton this year to be coaching the JV squad?
Yeah, so the reason why I stopped coaching was my best friend got into law school in California, so I just kind of tagged along with him. And was like, now's a good time to give it a shot, move across the country. It was the first time I was away from my family, really. So I obviously couldn't coach anymore. So I lived there for 3 years. Unfortunately, it was right when the pandemic started.
Yeah.
So it was COVID pretty much the entire time. So I didn't really get to experience California very much, but it was just good for me to get out of Hopkinton for a little bit, try something else. It made me realize that I wanted to stay in New Hampshire and that I loved it here. And my older brother had a kid and then another kid, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back.
Yeah.
And I moved back over the summer, and I think within like a week, I texted Dan and was like, is there a basketball coach? Because I knew Sigmar was leaving. He went to Florida, I think.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about JV, but I was like, is there an opportunity to get back into coaching? So it really was one of the things I missed the most about being around here. And he was like, yeah, there's we need a JV coach. The JV coach they had a baby, so he didn't have the time to commit to it.
Yeah.
And they needed a varsity coach too, but I just didn't have the experience to be able to take a varsity job. So he kind of just like immediately was like, all right, do you want to do this again? I was like, yep. And then we had a JV coach, so I was back. And then he hired a varsity coach. We had one open gym, and I went and I left that open gym being like, okay, I'm not going to do this. This is not going to work. It reminded me so much of when I was in high school, like seeing the kids, like they didn't seem like they were having the most fun. And I came home, I told my parents about it, and I was like, I don't know, I was struggling with it. And they were like, no, this is exactly what we said last time. You have to be like a positive impact or try to be. And then that coach fell through, and I was the JV coach, and we didn't have a varsity coach for a few weeks. And I was like, am I gonna have to coach varsity? Like, I have no idea. And then we hired Matt, and I think in your interview, you talked to him the first time you met everybody was at an open gym. That was the first time I met him.
Yeah.
He walked in with a big beard and tattooed, and I was like, wow, good for Missouri. He's really grown up here. So I was excited. And just, I think you guys touched on a little bit, like just a younger coach, I think was kind of exactly what the program.
Yeah, I think Coach Miller is the perfect coach for this program. As a varsity coach, I think you as a JV coach, you did well. You won JV Coach of the Year your first year, so great job with that.
Thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed that experience. If you want to reflect a little bit about this season.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just starting with that, when Matt texted me that I won that, first of all, I didn't even know they had a JV Coach of the Year award. But I couldn't believe that I won it. I'm sure everybody says this, but like, you really don't do that much. Like, it was the kids. Like, I had a great team, and I just tried to do the best I could to kind of coach them in ways that I thought would be beneficial to them. And I guess other coaches recognize that, but it really was all them. But it was nice to be recognized, especially after playing and not getting the recognition I thought I deserved. So coaching it, because I want to play basketball more than anything, but if I can't play, coaching's the next best thing. So that was awesome, but still mad we lost 2 games. Should have gone undefeated. But that's all right. They were 2 really good teams. Loved the team, just an awesome group of kids, and being the assistant for varsity too. It's excuse me, it's just an awesome experience. Matt, like you said, Matt was just awesome. Like such a beneficial experience for me coaching, like to have a younger role model like that,
Yeah.
that he's so much more comfortable and confident talking to kids than
Yeah.
I am. So it was just nice to see like, oh, this is how you do this, that's how you do that. So it was a good role model to have for sure.
Yeah. So throughout your whole coaching tenure, like, have you had any other coaches who have kind of shown you a way?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I loved soccer here. Zipke and Coach K were awesome.
Coach K was still coaching back
Yeah,
then?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. His first year was when I was like a sophomore or something, and our first game he like had some speech about like Lady Gaga or something. Like, he's an absolute maniac. But that was awesome. I had Chase for baseball and
Yeah.
basketball. Obviously, Barry Grudemeyer was my middle school coach. We didn't have a like school middle school team when
Yeah.
I went here, but he's an awesome coach. And obviously my dad has been like my favorite coach ever, so he was a huge influence. But I've been very lucky to have like strong coaching, really my whole life, and they helped me like kind of see what things I could do and what things I probably couldn't do, and what would be like better methods for me to get points
Yeah.
across.
I got you. So, looking forward into the future, where do you see yourself going, not only coaching wise, but career wise as well?
Yeah, so I don't really know. Obviously, the last time I coached, I didn't have any anticipation of moving across the country right after. So I'm hoping that's not the case.
Yeah.
I'd like to stay and keep coaching, especially because we have such a great group of guys that are, still here. We're obviously losing a lot, but I think we could be really successful next year, and I obviously want to be a part of that and help out however I can. So I'd like to keep coaching. Um, Career wise, no idea, still lost. But hopefully I'll find some direction there. I I love coaching, but can't really make a full-time job of it
Yeah.
in high school. So hopefully I'll find something that will allow me to keep coaching though. Sure.
All right. So, what's your advice to other people out there? Let's start off with as a player, then go to as a coach, because you talked about your issues as a player. What advice do you have for the younger players who might be dealing with some of the same stuff?
Yeah. So the reason why I wanted to get into coaching was like that exact thing. It was like if I had someone that was just very strong headed and couldn't take advice from anybody, I would just like tell them that like people are only giving you or telling you what to do or giving you this advice because they want the best for you. It's not coming from some malicious place ever. So just listen is the number one thing I would say. It's the most important thing you can do for sports and for everything. Just listen to what people have to tell you because some people have experience that you do not, especially as an older person. Like even just coaching, like 15-year-olds, like just say, I've played basketball for, 10 more years than you.
Mhm.
So there's some things that I swear I know what I'm talking about. Just give me a chance here. Um, but you have to find, some kids respond to being yelled at and some kids just shut down when you do that. So it's finding the balance. And when you're coaching a team, you're coaching, 10 individuals instead of like one unit where everybody's the same. So I think adapting to that, figuring out what works and what doesn't is the biggest thing. And that goes for playing and coaching. As a player, you need to be able to communicate with your coach, be comfortable talking to them. I always say if there's anything any of you guys want to tell me or ask me, please let me know. I try to be approachable. But I think communication, listening, those are the big two, obviously.
All right. What's your advice to anybody out there who is, kind of in a similar situation that you were, say, a year ago, where you're not sure if you're going to end up coaching or not, and you're kind of on the fence about it, and not sure if you have the skills?
Yeah. So I would say the same thing that my parents told me is just give it a shot. The worst that happens is, I don't know, you lose some games and maybe a kid or two doesn't like you.
Yeah.
But the best case is you're successful, you have kids that hopefully like you, and you win an award, you have a successful team,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But excuse me. It's it really is like it's super beneficial, I think, just as it helps you grow as a person and as a leader. It's made me much more comfortable, like talking, being outgoing, stuff like that. I'm usually pretty introverted. So it helped me like step out of my comfort zone, which I think was huge. And just like being able to make an impact on someone's day, even if it's like a small impact,
Yeah.
just like I wanted kids like excited to come to basketball practice was like my main goal. And I think I did that. So
Yeah.
that would be what I would just say, start with like a small goal, like make everybody on your team laugh, like something like that. Just
Okay.
like, don't be like, okay, we have to win everything. Like that's not going to work. You have to take it slow, take it one step at a time.
All right. I think that's especially true for youth sports as well,
Yeah.
because like, you know, you're coaching high school or middle school, so it's different than if you were a professional coach and it's like a job in like the NBA or
Yeah,
whatever. So
exactly.
it's a little bit of a different style. But yeah, wish you luck in the future. Hope to see you back here coaching again next
Yeah,
year. So
for sure.
thanks, Liam.
Drew.